There's so many freaking Discords now, dude. Oh my gosh. I feel like I have to post in 8,000 Discords now. Alright, almost there. We're going to do the Facebook. Okay. Now we're going to do the Reddit. And then we're done. And I can see who's in chat. I have not looked yet. I have yet to look. What's the name of the stream? Here we go. Okay, and then the most important one, guys. I gotta link this to my mom. The most important one. I have to send the link to my mom because my dad wanted to watch tonight. There we go. So we'll go mom and dad. In case you wanted to watch. Ugh, I'll send it to my... Man, I'm... I feel like such a dork sending that to my family, but they're like, oh, we want to hear you talk about your deck. So we're doing that. Alright, excellent. We're going to go here. We're going to go here. Guys, it's July! That's crazy! It's crazy it's already July. Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I am so glad you guys are all here. Here for the surprise stream. Whoa! Oh, there he is. What's up, Dad? Hi, guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. I have an excellent meme to start things off today. Where is it? I gotta scroll for it. I gotta scroll through a bunch of nonsense. There it is. There it is. That is Pete Butler. Hi, guys. Dad, they all know you. I'm sorry. They all know who you are. You are iconic, unfortunately. You are an iconic man. Okay, I think we got all of that. Oh my gosh, it's so in your face. It's so in your face. Okay. Bertholt, let's talk this over. If I agree to stream, would you all agree to die? That's it. That's the whole meme. Kevin made it and I thought it was funny. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. At least for my Tenkun keeping it in a good way. Mugenics Let's Play. Ooh, I should play Mugenics. That game looks really cool. You are known and loved, Dad. You are known and loved. I casually dropped in our team Discord. I was like, yeah, my dad's at the Olympics cheering on his friend win her 12th gold medal or something like that. And they were like, can he stop? Can he stop being that cool? And then I sent the picture of you guys with the Olympic torch, and it was like, dude, how they're with the Olympic torch? This is crazy. And I was like, yep, those are my parents. It's my mom and dad. So you are known and you are loved, for sure. Hi, everybody. We're going to wait for stream to warm up a little bit before we get started. I'm going to pull up a couple of media pieces for us to look at. He can't keep getting away with this. Exactly right. We're just going to look at the Metaverse's build. So we're looking at the very specific build. Look at that smiley face. Look at that smiley face. It's so cute, everybody. It's so cute. Let's see. Alright, we got those two things going. And then we're going to pull up Sam Tate's stream.
That turn.
That was a familiar voice. Excellent. Excellent. We got our first 8 people. How's everyone's day been? You guys tell me how your day was. I am very sleepy today, truthfully. For those of you that don't know, Thursdays are my, like, really long work day where I teach nonstop for 11 hours, pretty much. Like, I know there's, like, people that are like, oh, I worked 11 hours and that was hard. I'm literally yapping to students nonstop for about 11 hours. It's crazy. It is a crazy, crazy work day. It's how I'm able to go to events all the time. I'll tell you what. But it is always draining. It is always draining. But yeah, the thing too is like, so I might be a little bit lower energy. I might be a little bit lower energy. Want to trade for teaching adults for a day? No, I'm good. Well, I do teach adults, so I do both. I mean, I teach middle school, and then usually on Thursdays it's all kids. I have like one adult on Thursdays, and she's chill. But I do teach adults too, so I do a little bit of both. But I usually don't do anything on Thursdays because I'm so tired after it's done. So I will usually be like, gosh, I'm gonna go to bed. But I knew that if I didn't talk about this today, it was just never gonna get talked about. So we're here. We're talking about it, guys, and we are talking about Bertholt Hoover, Living Weapon. I got all my files set up, I think. It's nothing crazy. I just got a couple tabs. I don't have like a cool slideshow or anything. It's gonna be kind of the textbook. Unfortunately, it's not my normal quality that I hold myself to, where I have like moving slides and stuff. But I do have. It's gonna be the textbook, like look at a deck list, talk about cards and all that, which isn't my favorite type of content to make or my favorite type to consume, but it makes the most sense for this kind of breakdown. It makes the most sense for this kind of breakdown today. So we're going to be doing that. And then I'll probably turn this into a video at some point. Who's to say, truly? Who's to say? You taught me how to rock to Weezer? Not before you taught me how to rock to Weezer first, Pete. Sorry, Dad. Not before you taught me how to rock to Weezer first. Okay. I think I am just going to get started, guys. I'm just going to get started. So here we go. Here we go. Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know, my name is Paul. If you probably do if you're here. But I have been... Will this deck crush souls? Dad, you don't know the half of it. If you see Fidu Warrior in chat, Dad, he called me a terrorist for playing this deck. If that gives you any indication of how mean it is. So, we're going to be talking... My name is Paul. If you don't know me, I am one of the founders, leaders of Coping with Cardboard. I like to think of it as like a group collective thing, so we all kind of contribute, but I am typically the face that you guys see for it, and the person that people know from Coping with Cardboard. But I have also had a lot of recent competitive success in the game of Universus recently. A couple of months ago, I think about 2 months ago now, I attended the Buffalo Regional in Buffalo in late December, like the weekend before Christmas. And I ended that event with a 9th place finish, going 5-2, which was a huge accomplishment. It was my first time ever getting, like, it wasn't top cuts because it was a smaller event, but it was my first time ever getting, like, top 16 in a big event like that, and certainly being on the bubble for Top Cut. So it was a really big deal for me. And I was very proud of it. I got a lot of really cool prizes, and it was very surreal. And I was like, man, that was cool. I don't think I'm ever going to do anything like that again. And then last weekend, I played in Sam Tate, friend of the channel. He is a community warrior, and he has been posting a ton of community events for people to participate in. And usually the community events have fairly reasonable prizes. It's like, we have a great one coming up this weekend that's a standard event, and top price for that is $200. But sometimes he gets some really generous sponsors for these events. And last weekend, he got a ton of generous sponsors for his Hero 2 event. So much so that it became a 1K, which is a ridiculous amount of money for a community event in this game. For most other games, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, a 1K, that happens all the time. For this event, it doesn't happen very often. And when that happens, you usually are like, well, it'd be cool to do well and get like $50, $100, and that'd be really cool. But, you know, getting the top prize, the $400, is like, wow, you know, that's cool. I'm not getting that, but that's cool. I played in this event, and we had locals that night, and I told myself, all right, I want locals to fire. I want to support my friends. I want to hang out with my friends. But I also really want to support my friend Sam, and I want to support this event. So I'm going to play until I lose. I'm going to play until I lose a round, and then depending on how I'm doing, I'll probably just drop and go out from there. I didn't expect to do very good because this is an unexplored format. Not only is this an unexplored format, this is like the first ever American run version of this format with an official name that's like with an official UBS Games tied format to it. So there have been like fan events of this before and unofficial events of this before, and this is technically unofficial, right? But it's the first time that we have used the official format for the tournament. So it's a historic tournament, you know, even if you like no matter how you want to look at it, it is a historic tournament. And I played, I won, and all of a sudden I was 3-0, and I went, oh, I just top cut here. And I ID'd my last 2 rounds, and I ended up getting second seed in Swiss, which was crazy. And after that, I ended up winning the whole dang thing. I asked my locals, I was like, hey guys, I might have to keep playing in this tournament because I looked at the seating and I saw I was playing Godzilla, and I went, oh, I have a really good Godzilla matchup. I think I have to keep playing. And they were all like, Paul, go win money. Like, don't come to locals, win the money. So I won that. And we'll talk about the matchups more, but then I won again, and then I won again, and I ended up winning the whole event, which was really cool. And the notable thing that I'm leaving out here, is I won both of these events with the same character. Both of these events were that I performed well in were with the same character, and it's a character that no one else has really had competitive success with lately. There was one person who got really close, Keenan Meadows in Louisville, in the Louisville regional. Keenan Meadows got, I think, top 16. It was either top 16 or top 32. Top 32. Got top 32 with the initial version of this deck. And then there were a couple of guys that were messing around with it before. I know Christos Panos, big shout to him. He was a big innovator on this deck, from what I understand. Creed Perry, I know, has been playing this deck for a really long time. But there are a lot of people that were like putting their input into this deck for a really long time, right? But not a lot of like real actual success with him. And he's still kind of one of those decks where people feel a little bit wary of him on the outside. They're like, I mean, I could play him, but I could also play this instead. But as someone who's really the only person playing him competitively and having like good success with him right now, I figured it would be impactful to, one, talk about Ace Arena because I want to talk about community events, and it was the first ever Hero 2 format, so I want to break down Hero 2 formats, but talk about this character in the metagame a little bit, and talk about his kind of role in the metagame and why why he exists at all. You know, like why he's even a factor. And why he should probably be on your radar going into Worlds. I know I'm going to play him again, spoiler alert. And there might be other people that play him. But with that kind of intro out of the way, let's talk about the boy. We are going to talk about the boy. Here we go. We have the deck list right here. This is the deck list that won the Hero 2 event that Sam Tate had. And before we talk about that, I do want to briefly talk about my Buffalo deck list. In the sense of, it's like you were the first to summit Mount Everest. Thanks, Dad. Was that Reinhold Messner, right? The unauthorized biography, man. I want to briefly talk about the Buffalo deck list and then talk about how it evolved into I even call it heroic there. That's so funny. The heroic deck list. So this deck list was the first time it was caught on my radar was from my buddy, friend of the channel, friend of everyone, really, Keenan Meadows, literally just like the good guy. You do not know his name off the top of your head. Shut up. So Jose, the reason why I know his name off the top of my head is because Ben Folds released an album called The Unauthorized Biography of Reinhold Messner. And when I went on Expedition Everest for the first time, my dad was showing me in the queue all the stuff that was talking about him and all the information about Reinhold Messner. So it's just an album that I like, and I know the lore because of my dad. So yeah, that's just something I know. That's the only reason I know it, because it's a conversation we had. I'm losing my mind. Sorry, I know who summited Everest. Read a book, dummy. I don't know. So this is the deck that I did well with Buffalo. Keenan, friend of everybody, Keenan Meadows. He was the first person to kind of put this deck on my radar. And what it initially was with him, it did not look like this at all, lineup-wise. It was very close. The attacks that we shared were Wish Hard, Dual Needle, Lethal Slash, and then like 2 Trace Eyes. This wasn't here. This wasn't here. Yeah, and this wasn't here because Turtles wasn't out, right? But the general idea was you clear your card pool, you play a ton of attacks over the turn, and then for his case, he wanted to kill with a powerful 4 move. He had the Toga attack that's like a 5-low 4 with powerful 3 that you can play at the end of a string. Which we kind of just got that now if we need that, but we have to make sure they can't block it. Yeah, I ended up evolving this deck list a bit and improving on it on my own. I thought this card was really cool. We're going to talk about that card's role in the deck a bit more. And I liked it so much that it even became the main name of the deck. I called it No Diggity, No Doubt. And we always have a one of Flying Elbow Drop, which of course quotes No Diggity, No Doubt. So I had to honor it. I know there's only one copy in the deck, but like, it's just such a good name for a deck, man. This, I ended up going a bit greedier. You guys can be like, a bit greedier, Paul. I went a lot greedier on this deck. And I 4x Marley's Warriors. I took out more of the defensive pieces, and I ended up just going, how effective of an aggro deck can we make this? And I started playing it pretty quickly out of Louisville. I think like 2 weeks after Louisville, I had this. You don't know the half of it, Pete. Yeah. I ended up making this deck like a week or two out of Louisville, and I just grinded it for months. Like, this was just my deck. This was the deck I wanted to play competitively, because I was like, no one else is playing it. I think it's cool. I think it's doing messed up stuff. I'm going to grind it a lot, and I did really well with it at locals. I started doing really well, and I went, man, I think this might be like my main competitive deck this season. I was kind of sorry, Dad, for lack of a better word, I was kind of I forgot the word, so good stuff. I was toying with the idea of playing Ryu at the time. And so I was like, maybe Ryu's the move, maybe I bring Ryu to Buffalo. I love that guy, I love that deck. I might just mess with that. And then I brought it to the Stark Dark event, played against like 4 Deviljins, which my deck was tailored to do well against, and I lost to every Deviljin that I played against, and I went, yeah, we're not doing that again. So I fully pivoted to this guy for competitive stuff. I brought him to Buffalo, and I had a rough start. We can actually see. I started off the event X2, which means I won a game and I lost 2. So basically what that meant is that if I wanted to top cut this event, I had to win every single round after that. And I ended up getting some really good games in. I almost threw this one, I'm going to be honest. But I ended up getting there, and I ended up top cutting this event. Or getting top 16 with this event. I apologize. As it was top cut to top 8, and I got 9th. But I ended up getting there. Constantine. Yeah, I mean, so the thing too is my only 2 losses in the event were Dean, who won the whole event, and then Aiden, who also, I think he got 17th place. He almost got top 16. So my losses were really strong tiebreakers too. But I ended up doing really well, and I went, okay, well, I should start. Sorry, I've been talking all day, so my voice is fading a little faster than usual. I was like, okay, I should start prepping this for Worlds too. And so I've just been continuing to grind it and continuing to innovate on it. It's gone through a lot of iterations, a lot of changes since then. We'll even talk about it a little bit since we talked about it on stream. Where are you? Here you are. This is the current iteration. We added in military airship, as sometimes our cards don't get to clear the way that we want to. I kind of talked about it before. Let me actually go back. The primary focus of this deck and the way that you win the game. The way that you win the game is Bert is one of the few characters with the warrior tag, right? Bert has the warrior tag. He gets to use Marley's Warriors. Marley's Warriors gives your checks to play attacks +1 this turn. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there are some really good 4-def attacks that clear themselves from the card pool. And what you get to do is you get to play these for free, effectively. This passes if you check a 3. 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 They all pass if you check a 3, except for Dual Needle, and for that you have to commit a foundation. And then if you check a 2 on one of them, oh well, you commit 1 foundation. Oh no, what a nightmare. You get perfect checking for pretty much the entire turn. So you get to play pretty much every single attack that you can, and there is no... You get to break a fundamental rule of the game, which is what a lot of good Universus decks do. They take some rule of the game and they break it. Like, for example, Deviljin, a 5-hander. He gets to add a bunch of stats onto moves. He got to tutor in, got to add cards to the card pool, tutor in cards from the discard to the card pool that would cancel effects. He got to add cards in that did strong effects from discard. He got to tutor in the best asset in the game and then use it against you. He got to do so, like, breaking some fundamental rule of the game. Mikasa, she's a 5-hander that draws a ton of cards a turn. She gets to draw so many cards each and every turn. Never use that card in my life. That's so funny. Um, so, yeah, like good decks in the game break the game in some fundamental way. The way that this deck breaks the game is we never fail our checks without interaction from our opponents. If our opponents interact with us with breaker or something, good chance we fail our checks. But for the most part, we're playing a metric butt ton of attacks, and we're not going to be able to fail them. The other thing, too, is Bert has a top effect that says draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. If the discarded cards are the same type, this attack gets plus 2 damage. The damage is solid, but that's not why we're using him. We're using him because we get to filter 2 every single attack. We have a lot of people say he has latent skill on face, and latent skill is one of the most played foundations ever. Latent skill is one of the most played foundations ever. It's flip, discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. He gets to do the reverse. He gets to draw and then discard. So he gets to see 7 cards, pick the best 5, discard 2. Every single attack, which is just so strong. So throughout a turn, this guy draws his whole deck, right? We are drawing our whole deck, and we are finding all 21 of these cards, and we are going to play every single one until you explode. And that is the goal of the deck. And it's pretty effective at doing that job. Yeah. There are ways to stop these cards from clearing themselves from the card pool. A big one is Aerial Goblin Bolt. I go to play Dual Needle, they cancel it. Dark Ward cancels Lethal Slash. And that's why we added Military Airship in. Military Airship is just a great card that lets you pick up a card that gets stuck in your card pool. I added in some guys to blow up cards from my stage in case these guys get stuck here. As this is the other key part of the deck, the Bing Bongs, as we call them, which are cards that when you discard them from your hand, they have an effect in the discard pile. So, for example, Feral Shriek, when you discard it, you get to draw a card. I'm with you. When you discard it, your attack gets plus 2 or minus 2 damage, right? Hostile Introduction. It enters your discard pile, your rival loses a health. Mikasa's Admission is another version of I'm with you, just it has to be from hand. It can't be from anywhere. And then we have Wish Hard. Wish Hard is after you discard this card during the combat phase, you draw a card. So you have so many different ways to draw cards by filtering. So sometimes you discard cards, you discard 2 Feral Shrieks, you discard 2 Wish Hards, or a Feral Shriek and a Wish Hard, and you become a 7-hander instead of a 5-hander, which is busted. Yeah. There's one more card we have to talk about. So, when they printed Yu Yu Hakusho, which was a set from about 2 years ago now, I want to say, about 2 years ago now, they, it was the second set it was the second, set in a line of the Yu Yu Hakusho series, and they had another set from a long time ago. 2019, right? It was like 2018, 2019, I think. I don't remember. But, they, during that time, the game was very different. The cards that were played were a lot different. And this card wins you the game sometimes. It's in here to be an action cancel because there are a lot of strong actions in the game right now. There are a lot of ways that people are trying to do strong things with actions, Godzilla being a really big one. No, Dad. LOL in all caps. But the big reason we're playing this is because of this top form. This card lets you search your deck for a card that you name. You find all copies of the name card and add them to your hand. You name another card, search your rival's deck. Your rival doesn't search, you search, and you remove all copies of that card. You remove all copies of that card. But you do have to play a little bit of a minigame to do this. The way that you do that is you have to have a copy of Koenma's Task in your discard and in your removed from game pile. Usually it's hard to remove cards from game unless you cancel an ability they do with an action. the thing is Tam Cardwell, my buddy, started using this card, which lets you remove a card from your hand and remove this card after it resolves. So if you are playing the game the way the deck intends you to play it, and you're just playing it normally, you're naturally going to be able to remove a Coenma's task with this card, and then just naturally discard the card with Bert, because you're going to filter it out of your hand, obviously, because you don't want it in your hand. And you're going to have one in discard, you're going to have one removed from the game, and then you grab all copies of Lethal Slash, which is the best cantrip in your deck, and you're going to go up a hand size every time you play this card. You'll never check a 2 again, and you're just going to win the game. I have won more games with this card than I like to admit. It's very easy to get off in this deck if you're playing your cards right. I think 1 in every 4 games probably ends in a Coenma's task. That's an exaggeration. 1 in every, I'll be generous. 1 in every, 8 games probably ends with a Coenma's task of some sort. It's not too hard to get this to happen. And when it does happen, you usually are able to get the job done. So yeah, you get to play a lot of broken cards. You get to play Lethal Slash. You get to play Marley's. You get to play Coenma's. You get to play Loss of Consciousness, Dark Ward, Feral Shriek, I'm With You. Forcing Surrender isn't as good, but still good. You get to play a lot of just strong cards and play a ton of attacks. So that's kind of the idea of the deck. But what we're really here to talk about, I haven't really talked about the winning deck yet. This is just my current build of the deck when we talked about Buffalo. We're here to talk about Hero 2. So Hero 2, which was once known as Heroic, is a format that has been a fan format for the better part of, I want to say, a year or two. And it is the extended format of UVS. And what that means is that it is a way to extend legalities of cards that are no longer in standard. Typically in a card game, cards rotate after about 2 to 3 years. An extended format will keep certain cards in rotation for a long time. This specific format starts with the first set of My Hero Academia, which is a beloved set, and it's kind of like the turn of the century a little bit for UVS. It's the set that was kind of like the new era of UVS games, because a new owner took over and design started committing to a certain direction, kind of. And so it's very beloved by fans, and it's just a very good... It's where the current iteration of the game started. So they expanded it to that point. It's modern. It's closer to Pioneer, I think, just because of the time frames, but yeah, it is modern. But it extends the legality of cards. And we had, like I said before, our first official tournament for this about last weekend. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to play. I had a couple of cards. I even had a folder for it. I had a couple of decks I was looking through. I had a Ryu deck I was messing with. I had a Bakugo deck I was messing with. I had a Jiro deck I was messing with. I had a Kai deck I was messing with. I had a really cheesy Sero deck I was messing with. I had a Knot deck I was messing with. And they were all cool in one way or another. They were all cool in one way or another, but the reason why I settled with this is because the tournament was a 1K, and I wanted to make sure that I was setting myself up for a good position to win $400. I know I was joking, like, oh, I stumbled into it, but really, in the back of my mind, I was like, I want a top cut, and I want to win some money, you know? I didn't think I was going to win the whole thing, but I definitely wanted to win like $50 or something, right? I was like, yeah, I'll just do solid, win $50, call it a day. And I wanted to set myself for success in the best way possible. And this is a deck I had a lot of reps in. It was a deck I knew well. And I realized early on, I can just play this deck with an old broken card that removed itself from the card pool, like all of these do, Nitro Explosion, Ignition, and have a really solid deck. And what I realized too, pretty early on with this deck, is this card removes itself from the card pool, but it also has a response that says, after a Fury attack leaves your card pool during the combat phase, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. The best card in the deck is a Fury that says, after this attack resolves, if it was the second or greater card you've played this turn, remove it. It leaves the card pool just for playing it naturally. So you literally go Nitro Explosion, Ignition, you go Lethal Slash, you clear like 2 or 3 Lethal Slashes, and get a bunch of momentum with this. And then you can remove it and give any of your attacks powerful too. So like, you can play a Dual Needle, remove it, give Dual Needle powerful 2, EX2 once, powerful 2 once, or even just like Flying Elbow Drop, which is a 4 high, giving that powerful 2 is good. Or even just, I mean, no, yeah, it would usually be like another Lethal Slash or a Flying Elbow Drop, but it just helps Bert get that extra damage that he sometimes needs, because sometimes you don't want to discard cards of the same card. Sometimes you don't want to remove cards of the same card type, you know? So, yeah, that's a good point. The big thing with this card, too, is it removes for cost. So if people cancel it, it's already gone. Like, they can't interact with it or stop it. This card is guaranteed to leave your pool, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. Like, it's crazy. It's such a crazy card. It's crazy it exists. The other big card that you get in this format is Brute Strength. Brute Strength is a card so powerful that when it rotated out of Standard, they had to split up its enhances into 2 different cards, and one of those cards still got banned. It is such an insanely potent card. Effectively, this also just helps get a little bit of extra damage that Bert needs to guarantee a kill. So basically, we're doing the same thing that the Buffalo deck is doing, but we get damage way easier, and all of our moves, when we need them to be, are like 10 damage. So you end the game, like, I would say like 5 attacks faster sometimes. It's actually a little silly. It's a little bit silly. But yeah, that was kind of that was the beginning and end of the plan, pretty much, was Nitro Explosion into Brute Strength. You also get to play 2 of the best defensive cards ever printed. You get Struggling with Studies, which says, after Enhanced Flip, if this is your rival's 3rd or greater attack this combat phase, add 1 card from your card pool to your hand. So you get to block with a card and then immediately pick it back up, in addition to Military Airship. Which lets your 5-hander cheat his 5-hand size even more. And you get Surviving the Final, which is a 0 diff that says this attack gets -1 speed. It's very comparable to any of the 1 diffs that say commit for -2 speed, because that's effectively what they're doing anyways, but it stays ready. So it's -1 speed without the commit, which is really, really, really good. Beginning and end of the plan, Wolfwood gets Hacker Extraordinaire. Exactly right. The last thing I want to talk about with this deck is Bench Press. This was an idea I was playing around with because Dual Needle loses you health, Brute Strength loses you health, and there's a lot of self-burn in the deck, and if you do that, you get free damage with Bench Press, and because we're burning ourselves sometimes, it's not the worst idea to have some health gain available to us, or some -2 damage available to us. But we all decided after the event that this card should not be in the deck, and we should just be 4xing Brute Strength, and that is just better. Yeah, so if you ever end up playing this deck, the biggest change is 4x Brute Strength. The other big change is there's 1 card that I am not playing in this deck that should be in the deck, and that is this guy, Tight-Lipped. Flip 1 Foundation, your attack gets +1 damage. This is just one of those really strong 0 diffs from MHA set 1 that would be printed on like a 2 diff now. It is in fact printed on a 2 diff now. But I would cut Botan's Coaching for Tight-Lipped just because the draw and the damage is a little bit more consistent in this build, so you don't really need Botan's as bad. And I think the extra damage with Tight-Lipped goes really well with Brute Strength, because sometimes all you get is Brute Strength and Tight-Lipped, and the combo of those two cards is really strong, because you can flip a foundation. You can flip a foundation with Tight-Lipped, and give an attack +1 damage, and then blow up that foundation with Brute Strength and give it another damage. So Brute Strength plus Tight-Lipped is every foundation gives you 2 damage. No, I was not running Tight-Lipped, and I still won the event. Isn't that crazy? So I would just cut Botams entirely for Tight-Lipped. It is a better and more efficient card in every single way, in my opinion. And that's the deck list, and that is what I decided to play. It is certainly not the most creative deck list for the Hero 2 format, in my opinion. I'm actually going to do this real quick. No. There we go. I'm going to copy this. Here, I got you guys. I got you. We're going to do a little bit of streamception real quick. We're going to do some streamception real quick. This is going to be so cursed. There you go. If you want to check out the deck list, there it is for you. Yeah. It's certainly not the most interesting deck list that was played in the event, but if you look at the other decks that did well, I might not be able to get to them right now, so we're actually going to go here, and we're going to go to Facecam. We're going to go to Facecam, and I'm going to grab a few of the other deck lists from this event. And we are going to look at a few of the other deck lists from this event. As I do have a point I want to make about them. Come on. Yeah, we're going to look at the other ones that got... We're going to look at the other top 4. I'll pull up more than that. Yeah, let's do it like this. Okay. If we look at these other ones, we're going to look at the other ones that topped. So let's start off with the second place deck, which was Barlow's deck. Barlow was playing... sorry, I got a text. Barlow was playing a proven competitive character, Krista, and was just playing good, some good, MHA Set 1 cards. So for example, Electric Jolt, Indiscriminate Shock, Plus Ultra, Concentrate, great card, Award the Victor, broken card, Chivalrous Competitor, great card. Struggling with Studies again. Requesting Assistance and Release, 2 of the most broken cards ever printed. Petty Squabble, insane card. He was playing a proven standard character. With MHA Set 1 upgrades, which in a sense is what I was doing, even though it was a slightly more rogue pick from what people would be expecting. A little more of a rogue pick, but still, like... That's what the second best deck did. They got a proven character and made it better with MHA Set 1 cards. And I think that says a lot about the format. And that a lot of the characters that are currently in Standard are crazy. And they get even crazier with these cards. But on the flip side, let's look at the third place deck. We got Hannes. And I think what this kind of tells you about the format is... The order symbol is crazy in this format, and it's mostly because of Electric Jolt and all the good spam, right? Requesting Assistance, Bond, Self-Sack, all these crazy order symbol cards from the first set. that just enable characters like Hannes to be strong in this format. Which I will say too, I think this deck is still solid and standard, but I think Electric Jolt just really helps put it over the top, and all this spam really helps put it over the top. But Hannes didn't do anything before this event. Like, no one had even seen him signed up for an event, I think. But this shows, like, the order symbol's crazy, and also people should be looking at Hannes more. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but it's also like, order symbol's crazy in this format, dude. And then we go back to 4th place, another recently proven standard character. Again, a little more of a rogue pick, a little bit more of a rogue pick. But also, I actually don't think there's any MHA1 cards in here. This doesn't really help my point. Male bonding. You get male bonding. And I think that's literally it, and then it's just a standard deck. So, I mean, standard decks are just good. Standard decks are just good, and sometimes that's all you need to get the job done. Yeah. With all of that said, there were some other strong lists, right? We had Byakuo, another standard character that's good, that was just upgraded with Manly Passionate Guy and Male Bonding. And a lot of the decks that did well are just that. They're just standard decks that are made a little bit better. And I'm being redundant because I am sleepy. But yeah, that was the big point I wanted to make there. Yeah. So yeah. That pretty much concludes the deck list section of this stream. Do you guys have any questions about the deck? I know most of you guys in chat are like people that I've talked to about the deck a lot or helped build the deck. Is there anything about the deck that you have questions about before we go into talking through the tournament a bit? Or anything you want to hear from me about with Buffalo, or just about this deck in general? I'm going to give you guys the floor for like a minute or two. If no one says anything for like 2 minutes, we're just going to start talking about the event. But yeah. That is the general gist of the deck building side of the deck. Nitro is just a good card, and it's a little bit better than Tracey's. So, just a little bit better than Tracey. We're knowers, that's what I expected, but you never know. Dude, my voice is dying. Oh my gosh. I think this is going to be a short stream. I apologize. We're going to talk about Bert. We're going to talk about Bert, and then we'll see where we go from there. When do you use Marley's Warriors? That's a great question. This card is very simple, but I think when you use it is pretty matchup dependent, and there are easy answers, but there are tricky answers too. The easiest answer is if you find it turn 1 and you build it turn 1, you draw like 2 attacks turn 2, you should probably play Marley's Warriors turn 1. Which is how a lot of my games went. We're going to watch some of my games on stream that were just turn 2, Marley's Warriors. I guess we're going to try to kill them. Full on monkey mode, right? But a lot of the times it's as simple as that. I think that there are matchups where you have to be careful, and there are board states where you have to be careful because they might have cards that say, hey man, you can Marley's Warriors all you want, but I'm not going to let you break through this stage without a fight. So for example, going back to Barlow's deck, actually, the Hannes deck, the Hannes deck was scarier, in this regard. Sometimes it was like double fighting for control. He sided in Strength and Beauty. It was like that Strength and Beauty driven, maybe stuff like that is going to make you a little bit more wary about pressing the button. And you have to make sure if it's just one of them, you have to make sure that you can find your loss of consciousness, which helps you shut down cards like that. So for example, I think there was a game where all he had was like Strength and Beauty, and then a Fighting for Control. He cracked the Strength and Beauty, and then I sealed the Fighting for Control, right? And usually one of these answers isn't enough to stop +1 to your checks for turn. Both of them can be really bad. So you need to watch out for stuff like that. Sometimes you take risks and you hope you find a loss, and if you don't, then you just go, well, all right, I guess we're in trouble. So that's what I would say is just be wary of board traps, and then be wary of your opponent's deck and what hand traps they can have. Like, for example, that deck too also ran Showdown, so I had to be wary of high attacks, and I had to be wary of him leaving 2 foundations ready to cancel Koenmas if I were going to do that. So you just have to be aware of what your opponent has access to and what they could possibly play to get you with a gotcha. So that's the best answer. I also think too there's so much merit in building 4, taking a turn off, and building 4 again, because when you have 8 on turn 3, this deck feels unstoppable, truthfully. Especially if your opponent has like tried to poke into you or do any amount of offense into you. If you have 8 foundations, this deck feels crazy, because it's like, especially then if like they play a lot of interaction to try to stop you, it's like, oh no, I play on +1 progressive. Sometimes I will what's the word? Oh no, sometimes I'll commit 1 foundation, which is a little bit more than usual, but you'll only commit a foundation every now and then. And then, oh no, I have brute strength on board. I guess I'll blow up that foundation I committed, right? So, yeah, there's so much merit into just taking a turn off and going in on turn 3 instead of turn 2, but sometimes you just find the nuts on turn 2 and you just go in, and this deck enables that a lot more than other decks that are shaped similarly. You also could have been wary of stun 1 if you were a coward, but we always walk into Fierce Wings with no fear. Yeah, baby, no need to fear Fierce Wings. Fierce Wings is such a cool card, man. What a cool shaped card. Yeah. And that is the deck. I don't see any other questions in chat. If you have more questions as we go along, please feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer any and all about the deck and about the tournament. I guess let's talk about the tournament. Actually, let me not dox myself. Let me not dox myself. Oh my goodness. To all the Bert haters out there, why Bert instead of Mikasa 4? That is an excellent question, and I will answer that momentarily. Let me pull up my matchups. Excellent. All right. Let's pull this back up. To all the Bert haters out there, why Bert instead of Mikasa 4? That is a great question. Let's look at Mikasa 4 real quick. So Mikasa 4 is the current meta menace that is doing very similar things to Bert, where we are trying to play a ton of attacks that clear themselves throughout the turn. These characters are very similar. They are both 5-handers. They both draw cards every single attack if they would like to, right? The big difference is Bert filters 2, and Mikasa raw draws 2. The other difference, though, is Mikasa has to blow up her stage to draw 2. Bert just draws 2, right? Bert just raw draws 2 a lot of the time. Not raw draws 2, but because he filters, the cost is different, and he doesn't have to sacrifice his stage. So Bert is a lot more effective on the earlier turns of the game. Bert is a lot more effective on turn 2, and arguably turn 3 as well. I think Mikasa's still effective turn 3. Um, but I think his aggro potential on turn 2 has a little bit of a higher ceiling than Mikasa does. But yeah, that's the big thing. And the main reason why I say that is because of Marley's Warriors, right? Giving your checks +1 for the turn means we're not failing our checks. So we build our stage out to 8, and our checks are a lot more consistent than Mikasa, who does not have a way to check hex. She's clearing her card pool, but she does not have a way to hack checks in the same way. The other big reason is Fire Attuned gives us access to Lethal Slash, and I know that Lethal Slash and Anchor Toss are kind of similarly shaped in this deck. I think they take on the same role. I think Lethal Slash puts him over the top a little bit. I know it's a 2-check, but it's gives you +1 to your hand size when you play it. It replaces itself, right? It cantrips itself. It cantrips itself. It clears at response speed. It's a little bit more powerful stats. So it's a 3 high for 4 instead of a 3 mid for 2. It's a high instead of a mid, so it's an off zone. I don't think I need to convince you why it's better than Anchor Toss. However, I think that this card in conjunction with Marley's Warriors just feels so good. So yeah. Yeah. It really is just Lethal Slash and Warriors. And then you also get the Fire Attune stuff on defense. So you get My Fist solve my problems to deal with Deku in the sideboard. Let's go! Top 9 Bird of Buffalo. Thank you, Top Cat Theory. Thanks for tuning in. You get Driven in your sideboard, which is a crazy card. And yeah. Feral Shriek, Wish Hard, just being great ways to cantrip, increase your hand size. I think that they're all just good, valid reasons to increase. And I think he plays Koenma's Task a little bit more consistently, because he draws and discards, so he can get the Koenmas and discards a little bit more effectively than, say, Mikasa, who doesn't have the same level of filtering as Bert does. So I would say that is the biggest that would be my biggest argument for Bert. You can Koenma's a little bit easier. You get Lethal Slash. You get check advantage. So you are more consistent in the earlier turns of the game. Mikasa scales into the late game exponentially better and can do her game. She actually gets stronger the later into the game she goes, I feel. Sometimes. It depends. I think for what I wanted to accomplish, I think Bird is a little bit better. So yeah, that is what I would say. Yeah, let's talk about my matchups. Round 1, I played against a Mina 2. It was the Phil Birch Mina 2 from Nationals in 2023, I want to say. Bert versus Mikasa is like 2 graphs that meet on turn 3. Yeah, 100%. That is actually the best way you could possibly describe it. It literally is 2 graphs that punch each other on turn 3, right? Played against Mina 2. It was very similar to the Phil Birch Mina 2. I believe it was Crown Axe's deck. I don't know if he made any extra adjustments that Phil didn't have. Yeah, it was playing Price for Peace, trying to play 8,000 attacks and burn you for 8,000. 8,000's a joke, of course. Just doing that really well. It was a solid aggro deck. It took a game off of me. I will say it took a game off of me because I didn't read my opponent's card, and I didn't realize that he was playing it incorrectly, which is a little bit unfortunate. Price for Peace stays in your card pool when you play it. And he thought it had a remove cost, and I didn't question him because I assumed, he's playing the deck. He knows what it's supposed to do, and it just did not cross my mind it didn't remove. And I think if we had been playing that correctly, I would have 2-0'd. But I also think if I had two, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. If I had 2-0'd, I would have been the top seed, and my Swiss bracket would have been, or my top cut bracket would have been completely different. I would have been here, and I would have had to play Barlow in round one instead of playing Barlow in the finals. And then I would have had to play, I believe this was the Grog deck, which is a scary matchup for me. And then in the finals, who knows? I would have had to play like Gavin. I actually don't think he would have been knocked out this early if he had been down here. And then I probably would have had to play Gavin in the finals instead, and that was a harder matchup than Crystal was. So I think my tournament bracket looks a lot different if I win this match. And it's so interesting how much your round one can affect a tournament bracket. It was the same thing in Buffalo. I lost my round one. If I had won my round one, I would have top cut. But at the same time, my tournament would have looked entirely different. So I think stuff like that is just so fascinating. How your round one can really shape the course of your tournament like that. And both of these events, my round one was very impactful into how my tournament ended up. Losing this game mattered a lot. Losing that game mattered a lot. Let's go to round two. Round two, I played one of my best friends in the community, Constantine, aka Dean, if you know him. And this was very funny because Dean and I played in Buffalo. And in Buffalo, we met in round three. Dean beat me, and then Dean won the whole event. Here, we met in round two. I beat Dean, and then I went on to win the whole event. And both times we were playing Death Casino decks to some extent. He was playing Mikasa in Buffalo. I was playing Bert, and then I played Bert again here. And he played Bakugo Casino, as they call it, which runs a one check. Bad check Bakugo. And he just checked one too many ones. I think this could have gone either way. I was able to eke the win out pretty quickly. It was like a 20-minute set, and then we just hung out, and it was nice. It was literally hey man, you just want to hang out in Discord and watch the other games? And he went, yeah dude, let's do it. We just had a blast. I love this guy. Great human if you've never gotten to interact with him. One of the best people in the community. Really wonderful guy. Just kiss already. To be fair, after not reading Price for Peace in 4 years or whatever, I also assumed it removed, but that's an MHA 1 card. They wouldn't make that clear for free. Yeah, exactly. I just, anytime you read an effect like that, the assumption is that it removes itself, right? Like, that's just what you think. You're like, yeah, of course it removes. Doesn't remove. So, I'm glad it was caught later in the tournament, because that matters a lot, but it's unfortunate that we didn't read our cards. So yeah. And it's as much my fault as it is his fault or any of his other opponent's faults, right? Like, it's your job as an opponent to make sure you understand the game state and understand how cards work. If you are reading a card and you let it work in a way it's not supposed to, that's as much your fault as it is your opponent's fault, in my opinion. Like, obviously your opponent shouldn't be doing that, but also, like, you need to read your cards. You need to read cards, you need to understand the state of the game. So, that's how I feel about it, at least. Round three, I played Paul. We had what we called a good old Paul off, but this is Pablo. Pablo is from Spain. He lives in Alicante, Spain, which is a very notable thing to note because Spain has been playing this extended format for the better part of 2-3 years, I want to say. And the reason why they did that is because they didn't want to exclude people that had older cards because they had a smaller locals. So they were like, everyone's just going to play with all the cards that we have, and that's just going to be the Spain format. And that makes sense, right? Like, if with certain situations, stuff like that is totally reasonable. But they called it our format for a really long time, the Spain format, and a lot of people are jokingly calling this format the Spanish format. I think there was some joke made in stream that it was like the what was it? I do not expect the Spanish Inquisition. You never do. not the Madrid format. Some city in Spain, the Madrid special, the Valencia special or something. I don't know, but yeah, their decks were all really impressive. I think all three of them that played Top Cut because they were just so comfortable with this format and so comfortable with their decks. The Spanish players performed really well, and I was the only person that defeated Pablo this entire event. I beat him in Swiss, and then I beat him in single elim. So if you think about it, if I was never at the event, Pablo might have won the whole thing. The Valencia special, there it is. His deck was really strong. It was the Order Harness deck I was showing you guys earlier. It's a very potent deck. It's a just a good order deck, man. It's just doing all the things the order symbol is good at. It's committing you on your turn. It's controlling the game state, and then it's backswinging when all your foundations are committed. But Hannes particularly benefits from backswinging because he gets to scale his damage the more blocks get played. So the more attacks he blocks from you, the more damage he gets to give you later. So you have to play around that a little bit. And I did exactly that in this matchup. I took a turn off. I built twice so that he couldn't block any of my moves game one. And I was able to kill him, I think, on turn 3. He got me, I think, game 2. And then it had to be game 2, right? And then I came back and I got the win in game 3. I don't fully remember how those matchups went. I remember game 3, he had Strength and Beauty, and he had a lot of good board control pieces, but I was just able to break through the board and get there. But I think I took a turn off in that game as well to try and break through. Great guy, stand-up player, really awesome deck builder. He really made an impression on me this event. I feel like I've been hyping him up all week. Like, anytime people bring up the event, I'm like, guys, you gotta show Pablo the respect he deserves, man. This guy's crazy. So big shout out to Pablo. Awesome guy, great player, and it was hilarious having a battle of the Pauls. I loved that. I loved that a lot. And that was my only games in Swiss because there were only 2 undefeateds at this point. And going into round 4, if we ID, we guaranteed our top cut. So there was no reason for Gavin and I to play. So him and I just drew, and we locked ourselves for top cut. In round 5, I almost played. I didn't need to, but I almost did because we weren't sure if TC was going to top cut. And we started playing, and he actually took the game that we played off of me. But then he goes, "Oh, I can just draw and we'll be fine." And I went, "All right, great, let's draw." So him and I drew, and going into top cuts, I was the 2nd seed. And again, the reason I was the 2nd seed and not the 1st seed, even though Gavin and I had the same record, is because we had the exact same win percentage across the board. Our opponent match win percentage was 52%. Match win percentage, 60%. Game win percentage, 53%. And then opponent game win percentage, 55.0001%. Mine was also at 55.0001% at this point in the tournament. We had the same opponent game win percentage at this point. So it all came down to the random variable at the end, and I don't know exactly what determined it. Part of me thinks it's just alphabetically, or it's just the higher number at the start here. And he had the 4 and I had the 1. So who's to say, really? But again, if I had 2-0'd my opponent round 1, then my match win percentage would have, my game win percentage, I think, would have been a little bit higher, and that would have pushed me into 1. So it is very impactful that this ended up this way. And I really do say that because I think people undervalue how important luck is in tournaments like this. Like, yes, I am a good player. Yes, I played well. Yes, it was a good tournament. If I was in this bracket, I'm unsure if I win the tournament. Truly. There's always a chance, right? But I think playing Gavin in top cuts would have potentially been harder for me than playing Barlow in top cuts. So it really is hard to see. I have to play a very different game into Eraserhead. You do get around his response on Bert's backside, But again, we're a deck built around the front side. We aren't trying to transform into the backside a lot of the time. And Eraserhead certainly gets to stop you from using your enhances on the front side. Ways you can stop that, you just have Koenma's task and then it stays in the card pool. So I just try to hold a Koenma's task for that. Or we just turbo into the backside and we say, I get to respond before you get to seal me, and my static still happens, so you can't stop me. But yeah, there really is that. I think that was my hardest matchup in the tournament. I think Grog would have been a very hard matchup for me with how much damage reduction he has. And I think both of these players would have given me a hard time. So I think luck mattered a lot here. I think playing Godzilla round 1 was very impactful. I think playing Pablo again, a matchup that I knew how to win, was very impactful. And then I think playing Krista, a deck that I knew how to beat in Standard pretty well, was impactful. And having the second seed into Krista mattered a lot too. Playing into Krista, sorry, I just read that. Paul got live coaching from the commentators for a matchup he never played. Yeah, you guys sure did tell me that Eraserhead didn't stop Burt's Enhance. And truthfully, I'm kind of glad we played because of that, because I think that there might have been some salty feelings if we had played and I had won because of that. So I am glad that that didn't happen. But yeah, one of my 2-0s in Buffalo was a Krista, and it is very much a who goes first matchup in a lot of ways, because you want to go in very early against Krista, because she can't present the same damage that you can present in one turn that you can. She usually needs 2 turns to get there. So you go in turn 2, regardless of what your stage looks like, unless you just don't have foundations. You put a lot of pressure on her, you make her waste her resources, she tries to scramble back, and then you kill her the next turn. You're usually not killing her in 1, you're usually killing her in 2. I did kill her in 2 in the last game, but yeah. It was a matchup I was very comfortable with. So matchup I was comfortable with, matchup I was comfortable with, matchup I was comfortable with all the way through top cuts. So something to keep in mind, like while we're talking about this tournament. It's luck mattered a lot, and it could have very easily been Paul gets knocked out in top 4. I think I still get Barlow in round 1 if we play, but I think here, I don't know. So there you go. I will be right back to continue this. Barlow's match in top 8 was crazy, by the way. I believe it. Yeah, I absolutely believe it. Anyways. So, yeah. Let's talk about top 8 a little bit. Here, I played Mackenzie, who is a... Median Discord doesn't do anything. You're so right. My bad. Here I played Mackenzie, who's a member of the MGLA. Great person. I had never played against them before, and they are a super skilled Godzilla player. I think they almost killed me game 2. One of the game one they almost killed me. And they did perfect math to kill me with a cannon blast. Their deck was very cool, by the way. Let's look at it real quick. We're going to go to Ace Arena deck lists. It's right there. They were playing a ranged Godzilla package, which was using Determined Advance to get momentum, Amphibious Ambush, which is an MHA set 1 promo that bumps your ranged attacks to your momentum, and then using Frigid Heatwave to draw cards. So you get to cantrip with Frigid, you get to get free momentum with Amphibious, and clear a card pool, which is very potent. And then you try to kill with a Cannon Blast at the end of the string. So the way that I won my first game is I went in early. I didn't finish my food. They went in and they had me on exact C's, but they didn't account for me doing one of my favorite block tricks, defensive tricks in the deck, which is discard a Mikasa's or an I'm With You with an attack or a Koenma's, and give a move -2 damage, which sometimes is just enough to let you live. So I did exactly that, and they were like, oh, you just live at, I think I lived at 2. I might have lived at 1. I lived at 1 or 2. And they go, oh, well, okay. And then it passed back to me, and I, of course, did the dirty. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind if you're ever playing against this guy. Sometimes he can just DR and make it so that that last move will still get there. But yeah, it was a really cool deck. I think game 2 was similar. I think he checked one too many threes and didn't have enough for Cannon Blast to get there. But it was a good set. It was very scary. It was very close, but it was really good. I then played Pablo here, and this match was on stream. So we are actually going to go through this a little bit and talk through it. So this was the first time the whole tournament I was on stream, was round 4. Or at least I was the feature match, right? I think I briefly got shown earlier. But it was really the first time my deck was in action. So game 1, turn 1, I build a Marlies. Game 1, turn 1, which is already a really good sign. I get a surviving the final as a defensive option if I don't finish my food, and I get Botans for a little bit of filtering. After that, we go to Pablo. Pablo builds a very strong opening board here. Pablo builds Driven by Retribution, which says if I deal damage to him, he gets to remove that card and then add a card from my stage to the card pool. So this card is super detrimental to my game plan. He has this card whose name I always forget. So we're going to look at it, and I'm going to find it before chat can yell at me with what it's called. Fighting for Control. He had Fighting for Control. And then he also had Visions of the Survey Chord, which is just -2 speed or -2 damage. So 3 defensive cards in his stage going into my turn. And I know that I have to seal the Driven because of how few foundations I have. So even when, as you can see, spoiler alert, I go in for the Marlies here, I believe I am under the impression that, yes, I have to seal, I believe, the Driven. I might seal the Fighting here. Let me double check. We will play it a little bit. I do seal the Driven here. And I believe this was on my first attack. And what happened here is I did the Bert. I did Bert here. And I believe I got a Feral Shriek and I got a Mikasa's. So I got to give it 4 damage total and I got to do a Feral Shriek. I'm essentially saying, hey man, I want you to block this move. Just in case I don't find a loss of consciousness. I believe the card that I ripped off the top with the Feral Shriek was the loss of consciousness. So I decide, okay, I have to Botans here to deal with this. And I do indeed do that. And we discard the loss, and then I seal the Driven. Which is very, very huge here. We still have a problem. We still have the Fighting for Control here. And we have to deal with the Fighting for Control. And that scares me because this attack's going to clear, but also if I check bad, Fighting for Control is going to ruin my day. So I play on a 4. I check a 4. And I think the correct move on Pablo's end here is you always Fighting for Control, because that forces me to either just say, okay, whatever, I fail this one and I go -1 hand size, or I have to commit here, which makes my turn a lot harder because it means if I check a 2, I'm in big trouble. So I think he's supposed to here. I don't believe he does. I do not believe he's fighting for controls here. I believe at this point in the game, he decides not to because he wants me to, I believe he wants me to play one more and wait for me to check the 2 or like wait for a card to be in the card pool. But yeah, I stun 1 there. He commits that. I believe he passes Enhance. I do Burt Enhance, and then I discard a Bench Press and a Mikasa's. So I actually don't seal the fighting here. That was anticlimactic, wasn't it? I think it's the next one where I seal the fighting. But I remove a Marley's Warriors to say this removes. And then he blocks it. And this is a really strong block trick that his deck gets to do. He blocks with Inventor's Creation, which lets him remove a card from his discard and give a keyword rating to the card on play. He plays Big Fist Bash, which is a Breaker 3. And he... Breaker 3 is my move. Spoiler alert, we don't really care about Breaker 3s in this deck because we get +1 to our checks. So all Breaker ratings are effectively reduced by 1, right? It's Breaker 2. And I just decide we're going to play 3 Breaker 2. Because this deck can get very defensive later on, and I want to break through it. I think that's a very greedy decision on my end. It's a greedy deck, but I also think that that move is a bit on the greedier end. We still do it. In fact, not only do we still do it, we play the greediest card possible. I'm pretty sure my other attack was like... I think it had to be the 4-diff. It had to be a Flying Elbow drop. But I was like, I need a card that clears. I need my progressive to stay good for the rest of the turn, and we just have to check well here. And I do. I check a 5, which is technically a 3, because of the Breaker 2, and I commit 2 here. Yeah, and he commits the Fighting for Control there, so he doesn't get to use it. I'm thinking it's next turn where he has Fighting for Control, I'm pretty sure. So I talked about all that Jaws for nothing, but we do get to stack this with some damage, and I believe at this point we just do the Burt thing, we play a couple moves, we slap some damage down. It was Flying Elbow drop. Yep, it was Flying Elbow drop. It's a 4/4. I believe I Burt Enhance here. I think I'm fishing for attacks. I don't think I find another one. And I think that's why there's such a long pause here, because I'm trying to figure out what I need to keep to set up for a build turn. So I discard a Botans. I discard a Botans. And I guess that's it. Oh, you know what? Oh, I think I had to, like, think about it. What else did I discard? Oh, it was... Okay, so what it was is I had a Focus Gravity Beam, and then I had, like, 2 other cards in hand, and I knew that the Focus Gravity Beam wasn't going to kill him. Because it would have been +6 damage, so it would have been 10. If I discard 2 more Foundations, it goes to, 12, maybe 14 if I'm lucky. And then this is dealing, like, 6, so that's 20. So unless I got supremely lucky somehow, which Mikasa's admission, I think I discarded 2 damage cantrips already. It was like, it wasn't happening. I wasn't going to kill him. So I discarded the Focused, and then I believe I discarded, the Botans. And then I believe I just passed the turn there. There's an argument, I think, to play the last card in my hand, whatever it was. But I think I wanted, like, a block. I think it's a little foolish. I think you kind of have to just accept the fact that you're not blocking at this state of the game, especially whenever they play this. But we'll see if it matters. It did. He only played 2 attacks. I'm pretty sure that's all he drew. And then he built and passed. And I believe from here I finished my food. I review a Koenma's, which is terrifying because I am setting up the Koenma's. I play a dual needle. I burn myself for 3, going down to 5, which is so incredibly risky. I find a Feral Shriek. Actually, yeah, I find a Feral Shriek and a Mikasa's. So I get to pump the damage here, and I get to draw an extra card. And I think I EX here, right? I EX 2 here, yep. So I make it impossible for him to block. Not that he was going to block it anyways, because he has the Driven. I think that was a little bit foolish. I think that was a little bit foolish because it's like, that's going to hit anyways. But also, I think with the hand I had, I really needed the damage to go through because I didn't have a Warriors and I didn't have ways to, I didn't have ways to, deal to guarantee that I play enough attacks to get there. So I think I just wanted to make sure I could do this in as few attacks as possible. So we played this, and I accept that I'm going to get driven and that I can play through +1 progressive. So he takes the 9. We respond driven here. We remove that, and we clog with surviving the final, I'm pretty sure. Yep, and this is where fighting for control matters. This is where fighting for control matters. So I go to play Focus Gravity Beam here. I check a 5 on a 5. And this is where he's supposed to give it -2. I think we're waiting for me to check a 3 to get that attack out of my hand. But I think you're supposed to do it here because you want as few enhances as possible for me to discard a Loss of Consciousness. Because what happens next is I say stun 1, I Burt Enhance. Look what we find. We immediately find Loss of Consciousness. And we are able to seal that. And we find a Feral Shriek because we're just the greediest gamer on planet Earth. And we're able to seal the fighting. And then from that point, the game's over, right? Like, he's blocking this, probably. I don't remember if he does, but we'll find out. Yeah, he blocks that. And then we play a Nitro. And then I think we actually kill with the 3 diff, or we kill with the 3 diff here, I think, actually. No, we kill with a focused. Yeah, we play a focused on a 4/5/6. We check a 5/6. Even if we check a 2, we can still play it out, and it's enough to kill him, and he can't block it. And actually, it gets crazier. Then if we check a 2 there, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we just can't check a 2 there. We have to check a 3. That's what it was. But then we clear that, and then the last one's on a 5. So, like, we just are on check 1/5, and we win, is where that was at. So we do that, and then we do the, what Jose and Sam, who were the casters, say, I still had all Ds. I still had a Koenma's in hand, and I had a Wish Heart, and I believe what I told him in this moment is that if this was blocked, I was going to remove the Koenma's and then resolve a Koenma's, I think. It was going to be something like that. But, yeah, we go into game 2. We sideboard, I believe in game 2 for this. I always boarded in 2 Disarming Glances because of how reliant these decks are on Walmaria's Might. And I wanted to make sure that they couldn't draw 8,000 with Walmaria's Might. So I wanted an answer to that. And so I always boarded 2 of those in. And then I think sometimes I boarded a 3rd in. I think it was just the 2. It was just the 2. But we go to him. He builds 4. He passes. My stage is even stronger this time around because we have Warriors, Brute Strength, Surviving, and Boat Champs. We have 4 foundations with check on them, right? That's close. What Paul actually said was, never show your face in this town again. That's not true. That's not true. Go back to Spain. So we play through here. Hannes starts off with a card that he had some unfortunate check luck with this game. This is one of the few cards we want to check a 3 on, because if you check a 3 on it, your opponent stuns too. And he always checked a 5 every single time that he played it. There's actually going to be a jump scare later in the game that if he checks a 3 on it, I actually lose. I actually think I lose if he checks a 3 on it. And we'll get to that jump scare later. But he plays this card, and he just gets to play some really strong cards against me. Jolt is very impactful in this matchup because you can commit down Brute Strength, which is one of my main damage dealers, right? So Electric Jolt manages a lot. And then he builds... So this card is very impactful in this matchup because, one, he was able to freeze Marley's Warriors with the Roman Cancel token that he got from playing this card. And then after he froze this, he's going to be able to use King of Illyria to add this back to my hand. So I can't use Marley's my next turn, which slows me down a lot because I only have 3 foundations, right? And so I can't really be a greedy goblin here. I think I become one. I don't remember. I don't. Yes, I choose to build pass. Yeah, choose to build pass here, which makes sense, right? I don't think I had enough attacks in hand, and I think I also saw the board state and went, I'm not allowed to hit you. I would assume that because I built 3, that I had, like, an attack in hand, and it wasn't a good one. Which is just what happens sometimes. He plays Wall Maria's. I can't glance it, but it's only draw 2 because he's only got 4 wall counters, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I get to do a fun block trick here. I do Wish Hard, and I get to do Flying Elbow Drop. I get this as a cool block trick for the turn. Which doesn't matter that much because he adds that back to my hand anyways. But I do get a cool block trick in Flying Elbow Drop. And I actually don't know if he plays another one, but I have another Wish Hard, so I'm able to block this fine. He plays Bloodsucking Universe, which is a throw. And I think if he played, like, one more of those, there's a good chance I just exploded, but I think he just had the one. From here, he builds Strength and Beauty, which, again, is a really good counter to my game plan. Builds King of Illyria again to add Marley's back to my hands again, if necessary. And here, I decide to go in a little bit. I do a pretty good play here. And my first enhance is I Brute Strength the loss to make sure I can seal Strength and Beauty. And I believe I do exactly that. Yep. To make sure that it cannot leave the card pool. And then he commits Brute Strength so that I can't use the other abilities and find enough damage, which is a very good play on his part, I think. And I think it was a solid play on my part as well. I discard a Warriors here, which should be telling to what's in my hand. I think I'm stuck with 2 Warriors at this point. But yeah, he goes in. He's able to block this and commit out. So if I have it, I have it, right? I have a Lethal Slash. Great start. I play the Lethal Slash. I think I'm still fishing here. And I don't believe that I find... I don't believe that I find the move here. Love creativity of Pablo. That's so funny. That's like it's like a Kanye West album or something. Life of Pablo. So I clear this. I get a momentum with Nitro. And then I think I'm not out of gas now. I play Dual Needle here. I do 3. I go to 7. I think I powerful it just to get a little bit more damage in. It clears, and then I'm out of gas. Yep. And then I am out of gas. And then I don't have a lot of defense on board. I don't have a way to stop him from drawing, so I think he just murders me. Yeah. So here's actually the interesting part here. The Kanye choke is the exact thing Sam said. Oh, no. Oh, that's really funny. Oh, no. Peaceful Paul from the live-action Kingdom Hearts series. So he correctly figures out here that I don't have a high block, but I do Botan. Actually, so here's the thing. I do have a high block here. but I only have 2 cards in hand, so I am saving the high block for the one that he makes. I don't want to give his next one more damage, right? Because he's at 9, and if I block it, his next one gets a little bit bigger. So I decided I'm going to block the next one and make him think that I don't have a high block. So I'm pretty sure I take this one. Yes. And then he echoes it, and he thinks I'm dead. And then I think he makes this one 15. No, it's 10. But then I block it, and I think, I might live here, because as long as he doesn't have another 3-diff, I live. He had another 3-diff. And I couldn't do it. I think I'm filtering, trying to find a high block, and I find 2 lows, and he's able to get there. Yeah. The double Thunder Spear Barrage was just a lot to deal with. That's 4 attacks, right? That's 4 attacks that I have to have a high block for, and they're all for, like, my life total. So that was just tough. We go to game 3. I think I find Warriors again in game 3. I don't remember what I side out here. I truly do not remember. But we go in. I play a Mikasa's, a Botan's into Surviving the Final, which is a really good turn 1 hand. He plays Strength and Beauty. He plays Board Reset. He plays a lot of good defensive cards, right? Not as strong as previous turns, but still some good defensive cards. He gets Self-Sack, he gets the -2 speed, he gets Damage Reset, he gets Strength and Beauty, all of that jazz. I decide on my turn, I'm going to go for it. I play Dual Needle. He Strength and Beauties the Dual Needle. And when he does that, I believe that my whole goal of this turn was to get him to Strength and Beauty the Dual Needle, because I wanted to equalize our foundations a little bit. And I wanted to equalize our foundations a little bit. So he Strength and Beautied, I fish a little bit, and I think he blocks it. Yeah, he Big Fist bashes it, he partials it, and I believe I just stop there. I build a Warriors and a Brute Strength and a Struggling, and I say, I'm going to kill you next turn. But I think that Dual Needle was really a really big game changer, because it got rid of the Strength and Beauty, and it meant for my kill turn where I have Marley's Warriors, I don't have to deal with Strength and Beauty. And that was kind of the point. That was the point, right? He then does hate, and also, like, I'm like, he can't kill me from this position, I don't think, unless he finds, like, double Indiscriminate, which up to this point I hadn't seen Indiscriminate Shock at all, so I don't think I even knew he was running it. He wasn't running it, so I was like, I don't think you can kill me from this point, because you also only have 1 wall counter. So I was like, I'm just gonna chill. I do always block this one, which is fun, and I love this card as a block trick too, because you can block with it, and then if you have to block again, you can just remove it. This is honestly one of the best blocks for Attack Titan's Haymaker of all time, and I love that. So we block it. I commit the Brute Strength. And I think I commit Bert here because I want Struggling with Studies up. And I don't commit the Warriors because I am scared of a Roman Cancel token and him freezing it. So I leave the Warriors up so he can't Roman Cancel it. Because I believe after this he plays not Bloodsucking Universe. No, he plays 2 Foundations and passes. This is the controversial Strength and Beauty activation because I think you flinched and was supposed to use it. But additionally, you had so much gas when you actually killed, it actually would not have mattered. I agree. And I think, too, the Marley's Warriors just basically says +1 to your card pool doesn't matter that much. It means I have to play on progressive a little bit more, but not really. I think he did flinch a little bit in using that, but I also think, too, this kill turn was a little crazy. And this is the turn where it happens, I believe. We start with a Focused Gravity Beam. And this is where things get a little crazy. Actually, so here's the crazy part. I forgot to activate Marley's Warriors. I was so excited because I knew in that moment, I was like, all right, I win the game here. The blood in my bones said, all right, sick, I win the game here. And I slammed down the Focused Gravity Beam, and I didn't commit the Marleys. And it's a cash tournament. He was going to be kind, I think, and he was like, oh, well, you can, and I was like, no, it's a cash tournament. I was like, we're not going to do that. No. We're playing for money. We don't get takebacks. It was either that or he was like, oh, thanks. And he goes, well, okay, thanks for giving me a chance. And I said, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, it's, you can't make, if we want to say that we're at the high level that we're at, you can't let stuff like that happen, right? Like, if you're at a top table, if you're in any sort of regional level event and something like that happens, don't let your opponent do that. It's like, be better. Play better, man. Don't be a scrub. Don't be a scrub like I am here. So yeah, 1 low for 4. And I believe here we remove a very exciting card. We are going to, yeah, see, even chat is like, no Marlies. They cleared the dual needle. I also forgot to commit a foundation because I was so flabbergasted by forgetting to commit the Marlies. And then I think Sam PM'd it and I went, oh yeah, I have to do that. But I was so flabbergasted by this play, I just did not know what to do here. I do my Bert activation here, and I find Loss of Consciousness and Feral Shriek, baby. we already know what's up, man. We already showing what's up. Here Paul showing Danny that Marlies doesn't actually do anything. Yeah, that card's blank. Card's blank, dude. I get the loss. I do seal the Moment of Normalcy because I think I need the damage really badly. And I don't want to give him an out for the damage. So I draw my extra from Feral Shriek. And then I remove... We're going to go slowly. See if we can see what that is, because it's important. Did you see that? I'm going to show you again if you didn't. Hold on, let's go... hold on. Yeah, we're gonna go in slow-mo. I draw. And I slam. I slam the Koenma's task into the removed pile. And I fully remove that Koenma's. I did it very subtly, so I don't think all the stream caught it. Like, you saw how fast it took me to do that. How long it took me to do that. I don't think most of stream saw me remove the Koenma's there. But I removed the Koenma's there. And I believe at this point, I look through discard to see if I have one in there. And I believe I do at this point. I either don't hear... or I find it on the next one. I don't remember. We'll find out after this attack, won't we? But he blocks it fully. It removes. We play another one. We Bert enhance here. I'm going to skip through this a bit. Because we do the stun. We do the Bert enhance at some point. Oh, you know what happened? You know what happened? I think here... Yeah, we'll find out here. I double Wish Hard here. Yeah, I double Wish Hard here. And then he gave it -2 damage, which is whatever. We don't really care about that. I blow this up with Brute Strength, and I give it a damage. I don't actually see what I removed there. I suppose I removed a Loss of Consciousness there. I did remove a Loss of Consciousness there, yep. And then I Botans. No, that's where it is. I think I drew into a Loss of Consciousness, and then I remove it there to seal down his last defensive piece. So we very particularly were able to tear apart his board here and try to break that down. We remove that here, and I think this is where we do Lethal Slash. And we just start slowly cutting down. I believe I'm allowed to start brute strengthening here. So I believe I start burning myself for brute strength. We get a flying elbow drop into removed. We do that. And so here's where it gets crazy, because I remember this play. I played this, and I think the last attack in my hand, other than the flying elbow drop, was Wish Hard. I think all I had left was a Wish Hard. And I think if I didn't draw into the Koenmas here, yeah, I had a Koenmas in discard, I had to draw into another one. If I didn't have it in hand, then I don't think I had enough attacks to kill him. I actually think both Koenmas are in discard here. Yes, so both Koenmas are in discard here. One is in removed. And then there's only one in deck, and I draw into it. That is what happens. So this removes. I play my Koenmas. And I name Lethal Slash here. I'm going to be honest. This was not a big brain play of me not naming Koenmas necessarily. This was me not wanting to check it too. I didn't want to play the second Koenmas and then check a 2 on it. I didn't realize that all my Koenmas were not in deck. So thank goodness that I named Lethal Slash and not Koenmas. Because, oh my god, that would have been bad. But yeah, my whole reasoning was there have been so many times where I've done Koenmas in this character, where the first one's been on a 3, passes, I get Koenmas, blah, 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 and then I play the second one and I check a Lethal Slash, and I'm down 1 Lethal Slash. So at this moment, I just decide getting the attack is way more important than resolving Koenmas twice, because if he gets another turn, I probably lose anyways. So we do that, and we get our Lethal Slash. We get all 3 of our Lethal Slashes here, and we add them to hand, and then we just play them all out. They're all for 8,000 damage. So this is the moment. I actually don't think it matters. This is the moment I was talking about, though, where I was like, there's a moment where he slams down the Behemoth Typhoon, and if he checks a 3 there, I have to commit to. I don't actually think it matters. I thought I was more committed out when I brought that up earlier, but I think it makes my turn a little bit scarier in case I check a 3. But he does full block that, and then I need all my moves to hit and do like 10 damage each. So we do Lethal Slash number 1. We get it to 7, 8 with Brute Strength. We do Nitro here. We make Nitro 7. We play the Lethal, and then that is it. Worst case scenario, I think I had, let's see, I think I show them, because I think they were making fun of me on stream because I kept showing my, hand to my opponents, and I would be like, yeah, I had all these. That's not what I was saying, though. I was just like, yeah, here's what my turn looks like after this, potentially. Because I like talking about turns after they're done. I think that's interesting. We don't get to see the hand, but I believe the rest of my hand was like another lethal. It was either another lethal or it was like another 4 high or something. And I would have just been able to give it powerful 2 and then and end it there. So I had a line to end the game if he was able to block all of those. I didn't think he was, but I did have a line for it. So that is semifinals, and I beat Pablo. Hey, look at that. Thanks, Thomas. I did take down Pablo in top 4. It was a hard game, and I think talking about it like that, you can kind of see that the lines are a lot more complicated than just play, attack, win the game. You know, I had to play around a couple of things. I had to make sure I found a couple of cards. It looks like a monkey deck on paper. It looks like it doesn't look like there's a lot of thinking and a lot of decision making in this deck. There was a lot of decision making there, and there were a lot of choices that happened, and there were a lot of complex decisions. I'm repeating myself, but yeah. Nope. Hello. Take lives. So yeah. Brain off, take lives for sure. So yeah, talking through that, that was a very crazy game. Speaking of crazy games, this game's crazy. I'm not going to analyze it because I wasn't playing it. playing in it, but it is crazy. Are you gonna say face on the table? Please say face on the table. I love that. I love that so much. The coin task inside is really good. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do that a lot with this deck, actually. I tend, unless, like, I'm not confident I can kill them, or if I'm not confident I can kill them, or if their attacks don't matter as much, I usually will just Koenma's as Lethal Slash, because sometimes I just need more attacks, right? Sometimes you just need the attacks to kill them. And I think too, with their attack you're tutoring for being a 2-check a lot of the times, it's playing on a 3 twice can be detrimental. So it's just something you got to be careful about with this deck. Let's go to finals. Eventually. So in finals here, we are playing against Barlow on Krista. I am on the play because I am the higher seed. We start off here. I will say, this game is not as clear in my mind as the previous one because there was a lot more adrenaline and anxiety going into this one. So it's a little more of a, what's the word? A little more of a blackout situation, right? I was a little bit like, I was locked in, right? I was locked in. But we build 4 here. And we pass it back. And then we go to Barlow. Barlow reviews a Jolt. He gets 2 wall counters because he discarded a card with Krista. Character's crazy. He gets Incredible Display. He gets Struggling with Studies. He gets a Horrifying Realization. And we'll just see. That's right. He gets a crazy board, doesn't he? He gets Release, he gets Double Horrifying, he gets Requesting, he gets a Struggling, and he gets Incredible Display. What a powerful turn 1 board. So here is what I knew about Krista going into this matchup. I knew that Krista was a deck that I had to be aggressive on early on. I understand that with my deck into that deck, I have to be aggressive before Krista can establish a board presence. So even though this is a scary board to attack into, I have to do it. Like, that's just what you have to do with this kind of aggro deck into Krista. So that's what I do. I play Focus Grav. It's a 1 low for 4 to start. We discard a Feral Shriek and a Bench Press. We draw an extra. We give it 2 damage. And then we remove it. We play a Lethal Slash. And there is a big problem with this turn that we will talk about as we get into it. We saw 1 Feral Shriek. Or, not 1 Feral Shriek. We saw 1 Focus Gravity Beam. That is very important for how this turn plays out. That is very important for how this turn plays out. So we do a Lethal Slash. We do the Lethal Slash stuff. He, of course blocks it because you always block the 8 damage move. That clears. We play a second Focus Gravity Beam. This is where the red flag should be blaring for you, right? This is a rough decision for a couple of reasons. One, we've already played 1 and we've already resolved the remove. So we are already down 1 hand size. But we also drew 2. So we are currently at +1. This equalizes us down to a 5-hander, like as a true 5-hander if we do the remove cost here. And we check a 3, but whatever. The last red flag is it's very blockable. It's a 1 low. So this should tell you that there's not a better attack in my hand, right? This is the best thing I got going on. I do the stun 1. I do Burt. I think I discard an Airship and a Foundation, so no damage. It clears. I think I drew into a Nitro here. And I play the Nitro, and I think I draw another Focus Grav Beam here. No, I don't. I have a Lethal Slash here. So we're in a good spot. I think we hit him for 8, and then there's the third Focus Grav Beam. And I don't think I resolve this focused gravity beam because I realize that I can't kill him, and I need to and I need the what's the word? And I need the cards in my hand, right? I need the cards in my hand. So this is a 1 low for 9. I pump the powerful here because I want to do as much damage as I can before we go into the next turn. I want to put as much pressure on as I can. I know that he can't block it because he doesn't have a +1 low block in his deck. His board's committed, and I don't think he doesn't even... I don't even think he has cards in his hands at this point. I don't remember what the switch was, but somehow I know that he can't block it, and I know that I have to deal 9 damage. There was some read that I did there. But as you can see, I didn't resolve it because I need the foundations. I think I build none. Yeah, I built none. I think if I had 1 card in hand, I was probably supposed to slam it, but I did not. From here, he horrifyings. I have the brute strength. I was probably supposed to build the brute strengths there. I think you just build the brute strength and you hope you draw into a draw cantrip so you can block. But he makes me discard another one. It's a nitro, which I'm very sad to see go. He plays Wall Maria's. He draws a ton of cards. And I do find the Feral Streak cantrip here, and I find the Koenmas, which is crazy. So it ended up paying off for me, holding that brute strength. I then think, okay, I don't think he can kill me here. But he plays a Jolt, which is really bad going into my turn. And then he plays a second Jolt, which matters a lot, because this means on my next turn, I'm going to be down 2 foundations, which means I am not set up for a good kill turn. It means if I check like 1-2, I'm pretty much screwed. But so he builds, and he's in a really confident, comfortable position here. I still slam it. I still slam the dual needle. If I check a 3, my turn's over, right? Like, I just don't get to kill him. I did not. I checked a 5. I got really lucky here. I believe I Bert is my first enhance because I have a loss of consciousness in hand. I play 1 and I go for the seal. I go to seal Incredible Display because I don't want him to be able to cancel my lethal slashes because I need my board. I need my card pool to be clearable. So I go for this, and I also know that he has to waste a requesting on re-readying it, and he has to spend a momentum to cancel it if he chooses to cancel it. So it's like, this is the number 1 thing that I have to seal, and it forces him to not ready both release and struggling with studies and have the perfect defensive turn. It just gives him, it sets him back defensively a tiny bit. So he does, and it gets rid of, I think I didn't see he had a 3rd momentum, and in my mind I was like, oh, and this gets rid of a Jolt. But it did not. It just got rid of a random momentum. But still a really strong play. He is going to ready the Incredible Display, and I think he gets struggling back, I want to say. I don't know if he does right now. I think it might be on the next attack. No, it is right now. He full blocks it, because why don't you? And then he picks it back up with Incredible Display. I play the Lethal Slash. I check well. I got really lucky on these checks. I was playing a dangerous game, and I got some really good checks. The most dangerous game, one could say. I have a loss here, and I have an I'm with you here. I decide to seal 1 of the struggling with studies so that he can only, I think, block 2 more attacks this turn. I think he had 1, maybe 2 cards in hand. But I was like, this means you can block 1 less attack if I seal this, which is huge. So I slap this in, make it 8 damage. I'm certain he blocks it again with the same release. Yep. I play another dual needle. I am zone overloading the highs. I kind of read here that he only has the 1 release because I don't think he would have picked it up if he had another high block. And I think I read pretty well that he only has like good low blocks right now. And not to mention, I used up a lot of my low attacks already anyways. No, he does have another release. Look at that. Yeah. Well, no, he just picked up the same release with struggling. Yes. We do play a Nitro here. Nitro's a 5 high for 4. It obviously hits because he doesn't have a high. And then we play that, and it hits because he doesn't have a high. So we did read that successfully, and he had the double lows, and that was the big thing there. We go into game two. Game two, he, like I said, this is a very going first type of matchup, especially in Hero 2 because of Electric Jolt. Electric Jolt makes this really hard because of... well, it's not Electric Jolt, it's Kraken. It's because of Kraken, because Kraken can freeze down your warriors. So if he gets a turn before you and he finds Kraken, he just shuts down your warriors, right? So I review. I get a really bad build. I think I mulliganed into some bad cards. All I get is Dark Ward, Botans, and a Blink Foundation, effectively. So definitely not good. And he Krakens me, so that means I have 2 foundations to play with. So I can't hit him when he's vulnerable, which is really rough. And then he does the Krista thing, gives his move stun to, commits me out, and then he is free to munch on my health total, and really, really set me behind here. Like, it is abysmally bad how far behind I am. I think I just do a double build here because I think, okay, I have double warriors. He can't Kraken both of them. And I think he still plays a Kraken, but he just decides that he's going to kill me this turn. He plays Kraken number 1. He freezes my Botan so I can't sculpt or fish for better blocks. He stuns, and he just beats my board up. Yeah, he just beats up my board real bad. Plays Walk the Dog number 1, and I held a low, but I realized this move's too fast, and I don't have any real speed reduction, and it has stun 1, and I'm like, man, if he plays another Walk the Dog, I'm just dead. Guess what he plays? He makes that one 12, and then I think he hits me there, and then he plays Walk the Dog number 2. Yep, and we are dead. So this sends us into the final round of the tournament, or the final game of the tournament. This is game 3. I'm on the play, so I do have a little bit of an advantage here, but we are still in a pretty scary spot. I think I sided in learning the standards, going second to try to shore up my defensive game plan a little bit. Not that it mattered. He was just able to be so fast. And then I also had disarming glances. I believe that I take out the learning the standards. And I think I put in fist solve my problems here to make Walk the Dogs 4 speed. And sometimes I can use it to make my focus gravity beam 4 speed. So I use it as a defensive piece and as a slight offensive piece. I think I hard mulliganed for the Warriors here. I don't remember if I mulliganed. I think I just found it, yeah. But I also knew that I had to hard mulligan for it. This is a crazy build. This is like one of the craziest builds you can possibly get in a deck like this. You get your damage pump, you get your check booster, and you get your utility draw piece. I'm in a really good spot here to make something happen on the second turn of the game, which is what I need to do, right? After that last turn, I'm just fully like, I have to hit into him. So we activate the Warriors. We go in. It is on a 5. It is a 3 high for 5. We burn ourselves for 3. We draw. I think we double loss here, and we're able to get, I think, one of the strugglings, and then the release. He just never resolves release into me, which is really sick. So yeah, we get hit release and we hit one of the strugglings. And we are off to the races after that. We give it the 2 damage. We're resolving a couple effects. He actually petty squabbles here because he realizes how terrifying this offensive turn is. And I think he is fishing for high blocks. I want to say he is fishing for high blocks. Where's the 4X Primitive Desire and Mercy in the deck? If only it was retro, buddy. If only it was retro. So he petty squabbles here because of that. And I think I actually have to discard a good attack here. We're about to see. I have to discard Sim Attack. I think I discard a Focus Gravity Beam here because it's so blockable, man. It's so blockable, and then he can just pick it up again. But still, he blocks this. Checking a 3 there is really impactful for me. Those are standard cards? No, they're not. Oh my god. No. Oh, are these just the zeros? Yeah, you're right. What am I doing? I should have been playing those. You're so right. You're so right. They sounded like retro cards. I'm sorry. I thought you were on retro game mode right now. So that's on a 6. That's on a 5. I check a 6. I believe he How did we commit the brute strength? I don't actually remember here. How did he commit down the brute strength? He didn't have a jolt. He does something and it goes down. Oh, Petty Squabble. Petty Squabble. Yes. I actually figured it out before you sent the message. Yeah. I play Brute Strength, and then he Petty Squabbles, and that lets him tap down my Brute Strength. So I'm playing on 2 foundations now. A really funny interaction that you have to keep track of when you're playing against Petty Squabble is if you discard a Bing Bong or one of the discarded card effects, they can Petty Squabble and discard the card. So if I discarded a Mikasa's Admission, then he could have Petty Squabbled and took it down. But it's actually... it's kind of okay that he does this here, because it means I'm free to discard any amount of Mikasa's Admission here. So we tap that down. This gets blocked. We play another Dual Needle. We check a 6 again. I Bert again. I get Wish Hard, and I get Struggling with Studies. You're only allowed to discard Wish Hard if you have another attack in hand, as a heads up, because sometimes that happens, where you discard and you aren't supposed to. But I'm able to get the draw off of it. He is looking through his discard, I think, for other dimensional spheres. I don't remember. But he uses the Petty Squabble for us to discard and draw here. And I have to discard a Dual Needle here because I have a bunch of 4 diffs. And I want to make sure I can pass my checks because I'm playing on 2 foundations. And if I check a 2, that is detrimental to my turn. Because even then, that's checking a 3 on a 5 and I have to commit 2. Checking a 3 on a 4 is fine. The math is way more important like that. So we do that. We go crazy with our lethal slashes here. And I did side in my fist solve my problems. There you go. I draw my extra. It's 6 damage. Still at 32 health. So you're like, I'm sure a lot of chat at this point was like, how are you killing him? He's at 32 health. I'll show you. We play lethal slash. It's a 3 after 6. I think he blocks it. And then he is not blocking another attack this turn, right? Lethal slash clears. We play Nitro here. Nitro's a 5/5 for 4. We discard 2. It gets 2 damage. Whatever. It's just a 5/5/6. He's just going to take it. But then we get the lethal slash going. And lethal slash, we are going to let it clear. And I know that this doesn't make sense with the Dual Needle thing that I said about how, like, checking a 2 can be detrimental. But I think that I needed the damage enough that this mattered more than getting another card in my momentum, which is part of it. So something to think about there. It's a 3 high for 8. It clears. And then I have a misclick and Nitro goes away, but I do respond Nitro and I get a momentum. We play this again. Something important to think about in this matchup is Dual Needle Lunge. Dual Needle Lunge is the only way we have to interact with Krista's enhance ability. She's committed, so she can't use it anyways, but I think I'm still weary in case I don't kill her that I need to keep a dual needle in momentum. So I believe I go for the powerful here. I believe I do go for the powerful here. And I only discard 2 because on the off chance that I don't get there, I need one of these to interact with her enhance ability that lets her stack my checks so that I can mill the 2 and say, no, you don't get to stack your check. You can stack mine, but you don't get to stack yours. And here's where things get crazy. He is at 12. He is at 12 here. And I correctly identify, you know, I said before he's not blocking anything else, but I did correctly identify it's a 1 low move. If he has a +3 mid block, that's on a 4, 5, 6. He can check a 5, commit the requesting for 6, and pass the check. And then I have to play 1 more. So instead of slamming down the focused gravity beam to resolve Koenma's task, which I can actually successfully do at this point, I play the goat. I play flying elbow drop from the middle rope, not the top rope, the middle rope. I don't get to play it from removed, but we play it here, and it is a 4 high for 4. It is fast enough that he can't block it, and I can just Bert enhance, give it 2 damage, and win the game. And with $400 on the line, I didn't want to play with my food, and I didn't want to focus gravity beam. It's like I just wanted to make sure that I won the game. So we won with the namesake card of the deck here, because as you're about to see, all he has in hand is an incredible display, +3 high block, +3 mid block, and he can't block it. And that is the finals. And you look at this hand, there's a Koenma's in discard. I totally could have focus grabbed, removed a Koenma's, resolved Koenma's, but it didn't need to happen, right? It's like, I didn't need to play with my food more than I had to, you know? It's like, I don't know. It was finals. I wanted to respect my opponent, and it's like, let's just end the game in a way that is meaningful, and that I know will end the game. So that's what I do. And we do get there. But the thing, too, you have to realize is even if that didn't happen, I have the potential to play, like, we play that, we play this, we play that, and we get to Koenma's grab something else. Like, we could have played, like, 4 or 5 more attacks that turn. I still had all Ds, right? Like, we could have kept going for like 4 or 5 more attacks, truthfully. And I think that is insane. I think that is insane. So yeah, that is my analysis of my 2 stream matchups in the Ace Arena tournament. After that, we go to my victory speech. I get really sappy and emotional because I'm a sappy and emotional guy. And that's the tournament. And that is how it ends. Sorry, we are actually going to go back to here. And we are going to look at it. We did get there, and we were able to beat Barlow in the finals. It was really cathartic. It was really cool. There were 2 really notable things to keep track of with this event that make it really notable, in my opinion. Thing number 1 is this was my first ever tournament win for Universus. And even though it's a community unofficial tournament, right, like, you could argue and say, like, whatever, it's not like a regional, it doesn't really matter that much. It's hard to win a tournament, man. It's not easy. I certainly made it look easy with this tournament, but you have to win so many games, dude, especially in a top cut. You have to win 3 in a row, and you have to have matchups that are good enough that you can win them, right? I got the perfect matchups for me. They are hard to win. And it is just really cool to have that in my belt that I won a tournament for my favorite game, you know? Like, not everyone can say that. Not everyone can say, hey, I won a $1,000 cash tournament for my favorite card game and made $400 and paid for my world's trip. Like, that's beautiful, you know? I think that's a really beautiful thing, and that's something really special that I get to keep and hold on to me. And the other thing, too, that's really notable about this event, this is the first ever Hero 2 event that ran ever. Like, there are other heroic events, sure. There are other unofficial stuff. In terms of the format being official and standardized with UVS, this is the first event, and I won the first ever event with this extended format that's probably going to be really popular, and I kind of get to hang on to that forever. I get to be, like, the first winner of this format, and I think that's really cool that I kind of get to wear that honor for my favorite card game. I don't think many people can say that. You know, like not many people can say I won the first tournament ever hosted for this format. Especially in this game because there's not a lot of formats, you know. So that is not lost on me, and that is really special to me that happened in the way that it did. So, yeah, thank you everyone that was cheering in chat and sending me messages throughout. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam, for hosting this event. Thank you, the Trading Post, for hosting this event, and everyone else that made it happen. Thank you, thank you to everyone, man. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, all my teammates. It was really, really special and really cool, and I'm super proud of myself and how I did. And I think like this really was like everything to me. I know it's a silly community event, but it matters and it was cool. So yeah, that is my breakdown of my tournament run in the Ace Arena, and a little bit of insight into this Bert deck and what it's doing in the meta. So going into Worlds, Bert is still scary. Bert does struggle a little bit just because it's tray size instead of nitro, which does matter, and you have to rely on forcing surrender a little bit more to close these out. So you have to play a worse foundation in your deck to make sure you can clear this, which does make the deck a little less consistent, even though it is 2 extra attacks. Still very strong, still very good, still a contender for top cuts, but in my opinion, otherwise I wouldn't be ringing it, right? But it does have a little more roadblocks stopping it from being successful. But yeah. So let's, yeah. So that is my pitch to all of you to play this aggro menace and terrorize everybody and just have the best time, because it really is so much fun, man. If you like drawing cards and you like getting bonuses for drawing cards, this deck is so fun. You get so many bonuses for just playing the game. You get rewarded so much for just doing what the deck was built to do. It just feels so good, man. So go out and play some Bert. Go show people what it means. And the last thing I want to say about this guy before we wrap up, not a lot of people know this, but Bert is my favorite Attack on Titan character, which is very random. I know he's kind of a random side character to a lot of people, but I think his arc is in particular very special and meaningful to me, in a lot of ways that I could go into. I don't really want to right now, because it's a lot of sappiness and me being a little too vulnerable in front of a bunch of people. But his arc means a lot to me, and I really love who he is in the story, what he represents in the story, and I see a lot of myself in him and who he is as a person. So every time I play this character, I don't know if you guys have had this experience with a character that's really meaningful to you. Did you simp for a girl that turned herself into a cocoon? I don't see that in myself. I do not see that in myself, no. It's kind of cool because, like, it feels like you're just playing something you love. It feels even more like you're playing something you love, and it feels more like being rewarded for picking like your guy, you know, rewarded for playing your guy. And I think that that's really special. And I think my 2 best tournament result, and I think it's called High School Sam, that's crazy. My 2 best tournament results being on this character is really awesome, because he's probably my favorite IP character in Standard, except for, like, maybe Younger Toguro. Maybe not. He's probably my number 1. Yeah, so, like, winning a tournament with your favorite IP related character in Standard is just, there's no feeling like it, man. There's no feeling like it. So yeah, that's the other reason this is special, aside from all of that. It's like I did it with my boy, you know. I did it with my boy, and that feels awesome. So yeah, that is and I mean, sorry, last thing with that, that's kind of the special thing about this game, and that's kind of like one of the big totems that they've said for this game is that every character is someone's favorite character, right? Bert's my favorite character, you know? Somebody's gonna love Shin Namoto. Someone is in love with Anguirus. Someone's in love with Shin Godzilla or Hydern or I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Someone's in love with Leatherhead as a character, you know? So you gotta love your people, love your boys. Younger Toguro, that's crazy work. Younger Toguro is him, dude. Younger Toguro is him. I love Younger Toguro. Thank God they made Bert good. Tell me about it, man. Yeah, I tried early versions of Bert whenever he was like the Meta Menace. Or Kamui Woods, that's right, baby. I tried Bert when he was like the Meta Menace a bit, and it didn't feel right to me. I didn't like the turbo flip to the backside and play all that stuff for free. This one just feels good. I don't know. And then set one Bert, AOT one Bert. I built a deck for that did. I did build a Bert deck that won a different webcam event. I built a deck by TC that ended up. I built a deck that TC piloted to winning a event. So I did build. I did love building that Bird deck too, but I just wasn't a City Rampage guy, man. I didn't want to play a City Rampage deck, and I felt like Godzilla. And I was like, yeah, I love Bert, but I don't want to do that. So yeah. I'm immensely proud of carrying Kamui One to top 16 in the first Nats, even if Tim Keefe obliterated me on stream. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I know he's messed up. I know he's so good, but like, that's my boy, right? That's my boy. Kamui Woods is your boy, you know? Like, there's so much to say about, like, winning with your boy. So, and actually, we have a great article on Coping with Cardboard all about winning with your guy, winning with your favorite character. So check out our newest article written by Thomas. It's one of the best articles we've ever had, and I highly recommend you check it out. With that, that's the stream, guys. That is the stream, guys. No wins are free, Paul. You need to know how to aggro. I agree, man. You got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to make it happen. I was not handed a free tournament win, you know. We got there. We got there through hard work, a ton of practice, and a ton of determination. So, yeah. With that, before we wrap up, I will ask again. If anyone has any questions about Bert as a competitive meta deck, any questions about Bert as a Hero 2 deck, or if anyone wants to talk about Hero 2 in general, let me know, and I will be happy to talk about it and answer it. Yes, thank you, Thomas. Check out the article right there. I will say, just for some fun here, hop on Riftbound. I might be down after this. I might be. Today was tough. I do have a cool All-Giro deck that I'm very excited to bring to Worlds. Guys, Chivalrous Charge is a charge and a weapon. She gets Chivalrous Charge, which is so crazy. Survey Course Teamwork, charge weapon, charge. You get so many like potent charges. Dimensional Sphere, a charge. Sickle Flash lets you tutor a momentum to the top of your deck, and then you play Maintain Distance after either Sickle Flash or Specialized Sound Waves, and everyone else, and then anytime they want to interact with you during this charge weapon attack that's going to kill them, they have to commit a foundation. This feels like Maintain Distance feels like a custom fan card made for Jiro. This feels like a custom Jiro card that someone made. So yeah. We also get some cool stuff like Floating Around My Babies and Science Bros. So floating can trigger Science Bros for +1/+2. Making preparations. Guys, we gave Heroic Lineage to Jiro. Jiro gets heroic lineage now. It's crazy. There's a lot of really cool stuff this character gets to do with modern cards, and I really like it. Opinions on Hero 2 as a format? I think it's so cool that we have, like, an actual format for this, and it's not just fan-made stuff. I think it legitimizes it so much more. I think it makes people excited to build decks for it, and I think it's cool. I think getting to play with old cards is cool, even the toxic ones, right? Even Jiro, even Tokoyami, even Eraser, Bakugo, all the broken dudes, Nomu, no Chaco, you're on my shit list too. Shigaraki, Sue, even with all these crazy characters, Kamui Woods, you still, there's so much powerful stuff in the later sets too, like my deck, right? That it's like, these aren't the only things you have to be worried about. You still got to be worried about the stuff that's currently meta. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. I would love to see this format get, like, major support one day. Like, I would love to see this be, like, a regional level format one day. I don't know if that's going to happen, because the game's really small, and I don't know if they can support an alt format regional like that. But I'd love to see at least like a major community event be Hero 2. More major community events be Hero 2 other than webcam stuff. Like traveling for like a store event where we're playing Hero 2 would be really cool. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of cool stuff. And it's cool to have a format where we get to do broken modern interactions that isn't just retro. Because retro has so much, like, it's so deflating to do some combo that's like, oh, it's some MHA 1 card with Attack on Titan 3 cards, and then go, the only format I can play this in is retro. You know, that doesn't feel good. Because you go to retro, and then you play against Nate DeWalt, and he Jungwa kills you on your turn. And there's just nothing you can do about it. And it's like, man, I just wanted to play Burt with Nitro Explosion Ignition, and I got blown up. There's probably more wholesome versions of that, but, you know, I think it is important this format exists, and I think it's really cool. Yeah. You gotta believe me, retro is just a do-whatever backflip format. It is, but some of the do-whatever stuff sucks. Some of the do-whatever stuff retro gets to do sucks. I don't know how I top-8'd a retro event like 2 years ago, or however long ago that was. It was like a year ago now. I don't know how I did that with this. I didn't have Nutcracker in there. I don't know how I did that with this. It doesn't make sense, truly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of. I think retro for me is not as exciting anymore as Hero 2. I think I'm way more interested in Hero 2 than I am in retro. And I will happily continue to build Hero 2 decks. Every time I play, man, because like every time I play retro nowadays, I leave the game going, wow, that wasn't fun. Wow, that wasn't a good time. So retro as a format is just not for me, I think. I don't know. The early on in retro, when people were just kind of doing whatever they wanted, it was fun. And then when people started playing all the meta stuff in retro, I went, wow, I hate this. This isn't great. Because Sub-Zero is good and Bug Spray is real, man. It certainly was good, man. It certainly was good. I beat a lot of good decks. I don't know. But yeah, yeah, let me think. Also, I almost got second in that event with Sub-Zero. Who are you, David Toombs? I'm certainly talking like him right now. Power of Friendship. Wow, Paul, just at me next time. You are also the Jean-Noir player. You are also the Jean-Noir player. Yeah. So that's how I feel about like retro versus Hero 2 and how I feel about Hero 2 as a format. I think Hero 2 is really good for the game. And I also like the main reason I like Hero 2. This is the number one reason why I like it. Our locals is old enough now that we have people that are playing, that enjoyed playing the game in the early MHA sets, quit the game, and now have a passing interest in the game again. And I had to tell them, you got to buy brand new cards. You can't use any of your old cards. But now we have a format where we can go, hey man, you can show up to locals and we're just playing Hero 2. And you can just play whatever and it's fine because we have an official format that supports it. Um I have a bunch of Riftbound locals that are getting into I have so many of my of Riftbound locals that I have a bunch of free product that local game stores have given me. Like I had a box full of old DLC. One of my locals had like 12 booster boxes of League of Villains that he bought for 50 bucks. Um, that he bought for 50 bucks. And he we opened it all together and we gave it away to a bunch of people that he was friends with, and now they're going to build like extended format decks for each other. Um and I gave I gave buddies like those free extra decks, and now it's just like, yeah, man, I'll just show up to we before Riftbound locals one day, or like at a casual store play, we'll just play some UVS and we'll play with old product, and it doesn't matter because we're playing a real format, and you don't have to feel like you're not working towards nothing. You're working towards Hero 2 stuff. And then if you get interested and you want to play standards, you have the option to do that. So, um, I think it I think it really does just matter a lot. I think it really is an important format for that reason. Um, so yeah, Hero 2 is special, man. Hero 2 is special. I know it's kind of mid and standard, but very good in Hero 2. I don't mind retro as a format, but I had a bad experience with the person, and also they added a fifth round after I was already gone, so I lost my undefeated streak in the event. That sucks, Dan. Jeez, man, I'm so sorry. That stinks. Um, Dude, nothing kills your love for an event or like for a format like something like that happening. I am so sorry that that happened to you, buddy. That is the worst feeling on the planet. I hope that you can enjoy that format or a similar format one of these days, and not have an experience like that. Because your Scorpion deck is really cool. I like your Scorpion deck quite a bit, and you deserve to enjoy that format. I'm glad that I've bullied everyone into making Hero 2 decks. Ha 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 ha. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I will not call it Hero 2. You don't have to. You don't gotta call it Hero 2. So yeah. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I've yapped for quite a bit on this. Let me not dox my DMs. Just play Uwabami in retro? That sounds badass. Jose, why did you send me Sheep Raiders? Why did you send me the soundtrack to Sheep Raiders? Sorry, Sheep Raider, my bad. Hmm. I see. Yeah, it is just Jose, huh? Oh my gosh. Why is water wet? Great question. That is an excellent question. Well, all right, guys. All right. Um, I think, let's see, it's 11:30. I probably have to go to bed soon. Um, Chad, I think we are probably going to call it a stream here. And yeah, I think we're probably going to call it a stream here. 2.5 hours is way too much yapping for a tournament deck. But thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for listening to me, hearing about my cool deck, and talking about my cool deck. This was really fun. I'm so thankful that we had a live stream that I was featured on so I could actually break down my games like that. I love doing stuff like that. I think it's so fun, and I think it's really educational to people who haven't played the deck and who might have questions about it. You know, you never know what's going through a person's mind when they're playing a deck, and I think getting to hear from that person's perspective why they made the decisions they made is really impactful, which was my whole idea. I was like, I just want to analyze this game, talk about why I made the choices I did, and hopefully you can learn from them, the good and the bad ones. So yeah, I love you guys a lot. Thank you guys so much for hanging. I'm going to be back Monday with another stream. Expect another video on Monday as well. I don't know what it's going to be. It'll probably be like, sorry, one sec. It'll probably be a short, or it will be, you know what it's going to be? I need to make my prank videos that I did with Jordan and with Austin. So I'm going to release some kind of prank video on Monday. Probably the Dupler one. So yeah. Yeah, you guys are the best. I love you all so much. And I will catch you on Monday. Thank you. Please go support the new article. Tom's worked really hard on it. And support it in all the ways you can. And last thing before I forget. Go play in Ace Arena this Saturday. $200 cash prize for first place. Go win $200. Go steal Sam Tate's money. He wants you to. And support community events, because if we don't support community events, they're going to go away. And our game is small, and we got to support it. We got to support our people. So go play in Ace Arena on Saturday. Get those last-minute Worlds reps in. Or just go play 5 rounds of Universus, because why wouldn't you? So yeah, have a wonderful night.